Speaker on the Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, good afternoon.
I am Sendil Kumar, sir. I am Chennai chapter chairman.
Good afternoon, sir. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much.
Enter voting. So formal income certificate.
So good afternoon to one and all present here. So I welcome all the participants for the today's webinar. I request Mr. Sendil Kumar sir, Chairman IF Chennai chapter, welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Hemant, sir. Good afternoon to all. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you, each one of you, for this webinar, jointly organized by Institute of Indian Foundrymen Southern Region and Chennai chapter on the topic of Excel for Foundry Decisions from Data to Daily Control. On behalf of the chapter, I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Venkatraman Subramanian. Thank you, sir. Thanks for spending your valuable time. And to all the participants who have joined us today. And today's Foundry's operation, data plays a very crucial role, which is aware of every one of us. But however, the real value is not just collecting data, but it is analyzing and converting into meaningful decisions. Tools like Excel, when we use effectively, can help us monitor daily performance, improve control, and drive a better productivity. In fact, Excel is the very starting point for any large ERP systems or any advanced digital complex systems. Unless we practice and become familiar with Excel for data collection and delivering insights, it becomes very difficult to effectively implement any from our complex systems. I think that's why people struggle when they directly go for ERP implementation. It is difficult. It takes a long time for them to implement it. Also, the Microsoft 365 now become more affordable and completely cloud-based. Even smaller and medium-sized companies can easily adopt these tools. Any size of company can seamlessly access the data and making digital transformation more practical, achievable more than ever before. This webinar is especially relevant as it focuses on practical applications, how we can use simple and yet powerful tools for better decision-making in our day-to-day operation. I'm confident that today's session will provide more insights and actionable ideas that all of us can take back and implement in our respective organizations. Let us stay engaged and participate and take a lot of takeaway from the session. Wishing you all for the informative and engaging webinar. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. One second, sir. 1 second. Hema Prasad, could you please introduce the speaker formally to the audience?
Thank you, Sanjay sir. It's my honor to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Venkatraman Subramanian sir. He is a highly experienced Microsoft Excel and a Google Sheet productivity trainer with over 33 years of training expertise. He specializes in empowering professionals and organizations to improve efficiency, decision-making, and data handling capabilities. His achievements are: he conducted 750 plus sessions for sales, HR, and admin teams, 250 plus sessions for CXOs and business owners. He professionally trained nearly 13,000 people in Excel and Google Sheets, and he conducted corporate workshops for 300 programs. He gave a keynote sessions for 50 plus sessions on why Excel, and he delivered 30 plus academic workshops. He expertise in Microsoft Certified Excel 365, Google Sheets productivity trainer. His corporate trainers and coach from 3 plus decades of experience. His mission: transform 1,11,111 Excel users by 2030. So thank you, sir. Floor is yours.
So thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining ahead of time because I strongly believe joining for 2:30 class at 2:30 is not on time. Just before few minutes is an on time. So thank you so much those who are present before the training session. My medium of communication is going to be in English. So if you need any doubts, any clarification, probably you can ask in your own language. I'll try to answer. To some extent, I can understand Telugu, Kannada, and Hindi, and of course, the Tamil. So English. So whichever language you prefer, probably try to ask. I will try to clarify. So today's session, just with the statutory information, disclaimer, today's session is not an Excel training session. It's all about how you can effectively use this data analytical tool, kind of a BI tool for your day-to-day data handling, right? So some 20 years back, I think 2025, I guess so, or 2026, sorry, 2006, right? I worked for a Foundry as a consultant, not on an employee. As a consultant, I worked, I helped them to implement the ERP system, and I could see they are using a lot of data and they get stuck at various processes. To just name a few, starting with the capacity planning, then the at each and every the stages, the process, or handling the data from the data which is being taken from the furnace, so pouring data, fettling, shot blasting, and all these things. And not only that, the mold impressions, history, and all this stuff. So, people I could see they were struggling to maintain this data. That's where I thought, okay, this system has to be effectively and efficiently used. So, which means, as Sir rightly said, if you want to have an effective ERP system in place, so you should have been used this Excel effectively, efficiently, even before that. So then only that you can get a best out of the system. So the Foundry for which I did, we have everything was in Excel. Then we moved on to Oracle based application, and it was working fine. So till now it's working fine without any issues, right? So let's, without any further delay, let's go ahead with the presentation now. So it is always said that if you have a data but no errors, which means that's not a data, it's just piece of junk information where you don't know whether you're getting a quality of data. So any business has tons and tons of data like this. Okay, the problem is they have the data, but they don't know what to with the data, and they don't know what to get out of this data. So that's a problem with this tool. So that's where this Excel comes as a savior. So can I request all the participants to go on a mute? If should there be any doubt, you can unmute and ask me. So thank you so much. Right. So now, how do I understand this system? Now, this is always a challenge because many people use Excel as an advanced electronic typewriter where they open up the file which is extracted from their ERP system. Sir, can I request members to go on a mute, please? Sendil sir, can you mute everyone, sir? All right.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So,
yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. So now, I have seen, because I'm into this training from 1992. I have worked for various industries, including the shipping, the foundry, the big software company, and everywhere I go, I could see they have huge chunk of data, but they don't know what to do with the data. So that becomes the main challenge for them. Over the year after year, they have the sales data, they have the production data, they have the purchase data, and they have their finance data, and they have their marketing data, but they don't know what to do with that. So that's where systems, the tools like Excel can do it. Now you have Power BI, you have Tableau, you have SQL, and you have Python. You have a lot of tools which can do it. But for everything, the easiest, flexible, the best way to use it is the Excel system, which can helps you to get your data you want. So if that is the case, there are few things we need to understand about Excel before you start using it, because I have created the steps based on my experience of meeting almost, now it's 13,000, it's old information which I have given. Now I have crossed 14,500 people. This is from 2014, right? Before that, I didn't track. I started tracking only from 2014. Probably I would have crossed 25,000 also. I don't know. but it doesn't matter. As long as I'm adding people, that's fine. So the next point, if you can see, how do I understand the system and do it? So always work with any system with a leader mindset. Okay. So why leader mindset? Because when you are a leader, so eventually that you will not work with that system, right? So now I generally ask many people, how many of you are working with Excel? Whenever I go for a corporate session, everyone will raise the hand. So I immediately, my second question will be, how many of you are getting the work done from Excel? No one say, no, sir, we are working only with Excel, right? So always remember, Excel is a capable tool, right? Which can helps you to get this data, which can helps you to listen to your instruction and you can work for. Rajeshwari madam, you have raised your hand. Any doubts, ma'am? Rajeshwari ma'am, you have raised your hand. Okay, I'm lowering your hand, ma'am. I don't know what is the doubt you have, right? So where is the doubt? Unmute pani, you can ask me. So okay, fine. Yes, Rajeshwari ma'am, you're raising your hand. Unmute pani pesunga. All right. So always, it's not only for Excel, for anything, you can use this learning approach so that you can better understand about the system. Be it your ERP system, be it your Foundry specific system, whatever it is, please learn. Please make sure that you learn the art of getting the work done from the system. Right now, I'm going to explain for Excel. I know this is slightly a theoretical part, but this is very imperative, essential for you to understand about this system, because I always tell people, before you get into it, you need to understand how the system behaves and the attitude of the system. Now let's start with this. So first, understand the foundation basics of Excel, right? So especially when it comes to 365, they've introduced a lot of business. There are a lot of business concepts in the system, right? So like a dynamic array they've introduced, and the user defined formulas they've introduced, that makes your work very simple. The calculations, that automations, or your reporting system, very simple and do it. Only thing is, you need to understand the foundation basics, how they are doing it. Now constantly engage yourself on and understanding the core functionalities of Excel. Don't limit yourself only with summing up, finding the average, and aligning the page printout. Excel is much more than that. So it can produce a beautiful and magical results with, if you can approach with a perfect logic. Now, third is, don't rush yourself. No, you don't need to be an Excel champion tomorrow. Let's say you have attended 1.5 90 minutes of session today. Now, I'll tell you, you cannot be a champion of that system. But slowly start learning. Slowly start understanding the concept. Slowly implement in your work. So slowly understand, identify, and learn how to debug the errors. Now that will going to make you a strong person of using this system. Now remember, this leader guiding, this leader framework, this is not only for Excel. Any system you learn, you can follow this method. Now, once this is done, get into a dive deep. You go into a deeper mode, meaning one function you understand, get into it where and all this can be applied. So you have to think where I can apply this data. You can do it. So, for example, there are tools like what if analysis, forecast in Excel that can give you this data. Now you can see where you can analyze it. Probably you can use it, the forecasting, for your production planning, or what if analysis. You can see now, if I need to produce this much of X items, right? I need to run for so many years. Now, if I need to run for that one, so how many hours I need to run? Or if I run this much of hours, how many items I can manufacture? So that is very important. And start evaluating yourself. Okay, am I using this system effectively in the system, or still any portion I'm doing it manually here, so that you can improve yourself. Last but not least, keep learning, reinforce of practicing it on week, right? Or month on month, or on a daily basis. If you are super enthusiastic of learning the system, reinforce learning every day so that you become a leader of the system, right? Remember, learning is a journey. It's not a destination. No one can claim, okay, I know the system, I've learned today, nothing. Because when you learn something today, and the system, new options being introduced the next day. For example, Excel has a new feature now. They've introduced some 1 month before. You can import the data from CSV file, text file directly. Now, earlier what we used to do, we used to import through our Power Query. Now, you don't need, just simple type that function, you can do. But it's in the beta version. It's not given to the actual users. That is, if you're using 365, that it is not given for the live production, but very soon that will come because all the testings they have done it and you can do it. So if you are a beta tester, you can get it done, right? So leader is a mindset with which we need to work. Another one, right? So you are using Excel to solve a problem, right? So you should always have this solve it approach to do it. So slightly theoretical, kindly bear with me, but I thought this is very essential because many people, they don't know they don't understand the fullest potential of this Excel system, and they end up in using the system nowhere. So let's understand what is this solve it, and we can do it. First is understand the data and understand the requirement. Let's say you have furnace, you get a report from the furnace with a heat number, right? So now if you want, you can, with that you can see, if you capture this data properly, now you can easily trace, okay, the rejection percentage, right? So because in your industry, rejection plays a crucial role, and of course you have an option of remelting it and using it, but still you need to know what is the rejection percentage of your product, one heat you're doing it, right? So that is, so just giving you an example, you need to understand the data and also the requirement. So the very purpose is you having understood this requirement, and probably if you don't have a data, right? Let's say I want to find out how many items are being produced, okay? How many items are being manufactured by heat number, but unfortunately you miss out to copy heat number, right? I'm just giving an exceptional case because all foundries maintain this heat number, right? So I'm not an expert of your industry, but since I worked with a couple of foundries, with that knowledge I'm sharing it. Correct me if I'm wrong, if my information is, if my understanding about your industry is wrong, right? Please let me know so that I can correct myself. So understanding the requirement, this, it's very, very important, because sometimes the data which is coming from cupola furnace or induction furnace, it might be different because the induction furnace has much production capability, and when it comes to cupola, you need additional of coal utilization and some other factors. Now, if you are doing it now, for example, you are doing a cost analysis, right? So when you understand the source, the data, and the requirements, that can help you to do your calculations in a much better way. Now, define the output, what output you want from your requirement. So that is also very important. How do you want? Do you want to have a kind of a system where it has to give you, this is target, this is production. I have sometimes what happens is your what you call the mold may break, right? After certain impressions, I have experienced some in organizations, the foundry organizations, they miss out to track the number of impressions where the mold is capable of doing it, right? So what happened results in the problem when they are running some line production, sometimes the mold will break. So you always need to track the history of this mold and for a preventive maintenance, so that you can use it for your, you can, if it is required, probably you can have an alternate mold and you can send it for your presentation. And you should also track the lifetime of this mold. So you cannot use the mold for so longer time, right? So you cannot use it for 50 years, 60 years, maybe 10,000 impressions, 20,000 impressions after remolding it, and you can do it. And sometimes it depends on the quality of the mold, you can do it. So these information can be maintained and tracked in Excel, and most of the ERP systems doesn't have this data, right? So it is manually maintained, and we have to do it. Now, when you go and ask the person who is responsible for the line production, probably he must be maintaining it in the notebook, manual notebook, or probably he must be maintaining in an Excel file. He's maintaining in that system. That will not be accessed by anyone else. So that is very essential. Then we need to connect the data logically and see what is my production capacity planning did machine wise and what was produced, right? So logically I need to connect everything so that I know what is the production plan and what was the production. right? So now, because this is very essential, where you can calculate the waste, the scrap, the rejections, everything based on this data when you connect it logically. Now, production, I need to, let's say, 500 tons of this some foundry item you want to produce, for which you need this much of pig iron. So the output, the wastage cannot be more than 5%. So if you don't track the data, you will not get it. So there should be a logical linking of data should be there, so that from starting from issuing this pig iron until it comes out as a one finished goods. So you need to understand how I need to track it at every stage. So be it short blasting, fettling, grinding, pouring, wherever it is, we need to understand where the stage is and where what is the percentage of waste. And so you can also see the amount of the raw material I've given for this production, and what is the rejection percentage, what is the metal I'm going to remelt again for this use. Because in the foundry industry, these items are cost, right? We can't afford to waste even a single 1 kilo of this, because that is very essential. Iron is very, very important, right? Then, okay, I did. Now, presenting data is very, very important, right? So now I have it. Now, if you give it as 5 6 lines, people not they cannot understand, especially when you give this data to the management or the business owner. They don't see the numbers. They don't want to see the numbers. They want to see only the visual data, right? So they want to see, okay, this is how I want this. There should be 4 chart, and I when the moment I select what is the production in the first shift of this product, they need to get the graph, and they should get the comparison of last 3 months or 4 months, depending upon the parameters you said. Now, you can have different KPIs for your industry. So KPI is nothing but the key performance indicator. So how does my unit is doing it? So how does this specific mission is doing it? You want to find out this one. If you can present it using the proper visualization, that's going to give you this. Now, once you all done, then only I will start thinking which Excel function I need to use it to get these things done. Now, if you start using the Excel function at the beginning itself, that's going to be a technical presentation. But if you're going to understand logically and you're going to do it, then it's going to be an effective data-based decision system you're going to create. So always remember the data, whatever you are capturing it, that should help you to analyze and take a decision. That will not take Excel or any equivalent tool will not take decision for you. It's you have to take a decision, ensure that system works perfect. Now, and finally, now when I'm using an Excel file, and probably everyone does this, right? So I'll see, okay, I will load this previous month's data and the last year data, last 5 years data, and see if that is working fine, so that I get the desired output. And last but not least, I get this data in a proper method, so that I don't have any problem. Now, like when we having an Excel, the Excel data should have only this, our calculations or reporting system, only that, nothing else it should have. So when you have this type of information, when you have a clear solve it approach with a leader mindset, okay, so you can produce a magical results from Excel. Remember, Excel is not a magical tool, but with a logical approach, if you have a proper structured like solve it, you are going to get a magical results with the Excel. Excel can be 100% automated, right? You don't need to do even a single manual work in Excel, because I involved in consulting, I generate lot of automated reports for the people based on the data they provide. So you need to understand this solve it helps you to solve the problem. So let's get on solve it the problem. That's how the approach should be. If you can remember this, it's going to help you out and you can do it. Clear? How many of you with me till now? The two approaches we have seen, one is the leader mindset and the solve it approach. Because any tool you use it, you need to understand the capability of the tool. Because if you don't understand the capability of the tool, will not do it. Now, for example, when you set up a furnace, you understand what is the capacity of this furnace, and what is our output and what kind of current it needs. Okay, and X, Y, Z, all the technical capabilities you will understand. Then only you will start using it, right? So that is how the system works, and we can take it forward. Is that clear? Can someone answer? Is that okay? Understood? Should there be any doubt, please go ahead and ask questions. I will try to help you out to answer it if there is any doubt. We'll take few seconds for anyone to ask for a question before I proceed to the next one. Any doubts? All right, so I consider there is no doubt. So fair enough. Let's move on to the next one. So, okay, now understanding the data part of it. No, sometimes, people miss out when you are these stages, when they are working with Excel, because this is very, very essential to understand. So understanding the stages of data will help you to perform better with the data, right? Otherwise, either you end up in doing the same thing what you did earlier, or you will tend to miss out what you're supposed to do it in the system, right? So first thing, let's understand data acquisition and connector points. Now you can understand, because when you're working with Excel, not necessarily you will have the data you will not type, right? So not necessarily you will type always. Probably you will import from some other system. You must be using your ERP system, where you export that file as Excel file or CSV file or text file, or in some cases PDF files, right? You need to understand from where I'm getting this data, because that helps you to have a proper connection methodology so that I get the full data in my system, right? Then once this is done, especially when you are importing a data from external system, right? So your ERP, it could be SAP, it could be Oracle, or it could be industry specific products. So I have seen there are applications which is specific for your Foundry division, like especially, and sometimes you use it different application, like for your production capacity planning and all these things. So now when you get the data, not necessary the data should be perfect to generate a report for you. No, you end up in doing a cleaning up. You need to understand. But remember, these two stages in Excel, either you can completely do it manually, or partially automated, or fully automated. So you can do anything, right? So in the data acquisition point and the data cleaning preparation, you can do a fully manual, or you can do partially automated, or you can do fully automated. So you can do this so that you don't need to do. Excel will work for you. Only thing is you have to define the set of instructions for Excel to work and take forward. Now, this is where the analysis reporting part will come. Once I have a cleaned data, then you will start doing an analysis which can help you to take decisions on your data. Now, probably should I need to plan this work tomorrow, and which is urgent, which customer has this order. Now, sometimes I have seen it. So when the production team would have planned something else to load on the machine the next day, right? And the management says, okay, instead of this, you plan that one, right? So again, the reporting, analysis, everything, because every delay or every mismatch in the production, they have to report it to the management. They have to report it to the immediate boss, because data plays a crucial role. Now, tomorrow when they ask, the customer asks why there is a delay, you must be prepared to do it. Now, not only that, even in the preparation, you will have a scheduled maintenance, right? Or you will have a power shutdown, right? All these things there, and you cannot, and you need to calculate the ideal running time also, right? So when you are taking this, when you are using with the induction furnace, you cannot run this, you cannot switch off the furnace just like that, because the ideal time is also calculated, right? If you switch off and if there is a lesser utilization of electricity, obviously EB will charge they will levy the penalty. But if you're running it without production, that's going to be a huge loss for the organization, right? So we need to balance, understand, and every stage I need to see how this data is helping me to do it and take it forward, because that is very, very crucial and imperative. Once this is done, the final stage is presenting my data the way I want. So the management, let's say if they want, okay, I want this data this way and I want to do this way, next 10 days production planning, and how much is dispatched, how much is ready for dispatch, and how much has come from rework. All these things, you need to capture this data. Everything is data based, right? So everything you need to capture this data, and you can do it. No, in these places there are a lot of challenges, right? So when it comes to your shop floor, when we are working with the furnace, especially the foundry, you have a lot of challenges. Example, like you cannot use the barcode there, right? Because when you're pouring, then barcode, that's why you're using the heat number, right? So heat number has to be tracked properly, right? So barcode cannot be logically, and I've heard there are barcodes they have introduced which can be used in the foundry, that is that furnace, and I mean the production environment. I don't know, I'm not sure, probably you are the best people to tell me if that such barcode exists or not, right? So but the heat number is being used, and every heat number is helps you to do a backtracking. If there is any problem there reported by the client who bought the component, the heat number will help you to track it. So which means the heat number should also be properly captured in all these things. So data in anywhere, data plays a crucial role, right? Clear? So this is how, so first is we have seen the mindset, the leader mindset. How do I understand the system? Then how do I approach using this system, right? The third is how do I handle this data of my system so that I can make use of this system effectively, efficiently. So it's very, very important. And Dhaval sir, thank you so much. I've seen your chat only now because when I'm sharing the screen, I have a limited access to the chat, right? Fantastic. Thank you so much for your response, and I'm so happy, right? The next step is how data pair this tool, analytical tool, can be effectively used when it comes to the Foundry. So let's go ahead and see where we can use this tool effectively and efficiently, right? So I'm just starting this another PPT for you people to understand. Okay, so I'm sharing another screen, right? So why you need to run your Foundry smarter using Excel? How do you run, right? So this can helps you to take a better decisions with data, whatever decisions I have taken it, right? So one of the sessions, one of the person has asked for a different industry, sir, with the what do you call implementation, with the introduction of AI, can Excel not take a decision? Now understand, Excel will not take any decision, but it will provide an enough data for you to take a decision, right? So Excel is a supportive tool. It will not take any decision on your behalf. So make sure that you keep it in mind that system can help you to take a decision. We as a human being, based on the data, you can do it. Even if even if AI want to take a call, you need to give the inputs. If this value is there, then this is the decision you need to take, because AI is also a learning model which learns from your data and it produces that result. So you need to be very understandable, and understanding the limitations and capabilities of AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and Claude, and you have a lot of applications, right? These four are very popular in AI industries, and people use it very often, right? Clear? Now, so this is how we can do it. So what is that? What will happen if you don't use a tool like Excel in your business? So you have data, but no clarity. Your decisions will always be based on your guess. Meaning, if you are a business solopreneur or you are a proprietor running this the Foundry division, you're running it for so many years, or you are a senior manager running this, without a data, you will take a decision based on some assumptions. No, the chances of success, executing, working out successfully is 50-50, because not necessary that should be product. Now let's say you have produced some a item, right? Now you have made to stock and made to order product. Now sometimes when you do a made to stock, right, you can produce it based on your previous data only, how these items are moving. Is it okay? Is that the right month to produce this item more? You cannot know. Sometimes you need to analyze last 5 years data and see what is the trend of sales of that product in that month. So Excel has a trend analysis. Right? So the trend analysis will help you to understand the data of years. Now, last 5 years data, 10 years data. It gives you a pattern of your sales numbers. Now, remember, Excel need not know about your product. It goes only with the numbers you captured, right? So that's very important. Any decisions should be taken only with the utmost clarity, right? So otherwise, it is a decision based on the guess. It may be right or it may be wrong, right? What will happen if you don't use a tool like Excel? Now, I'm not telling you if not using Excel, you can use any other tool. Like you can have your system, right? But since I'm explaining the importance of Excel, I'm using this word cost of not using this Excel. Now, probably there is a possibility of high rejection because when you don't track, right? So what happens? What is the rejection percentage? So whenever you do one cycle of manufacturing, right, of your items, right? So what happens is you will have a threshold of rejection percentage. It could be somewhere between 3 to 5% or 7%, right? So if you don't track it, right? So what happened? This is going to give you the you're going to end up in high rejection, which means that item is going to come back, and which is nothing but your cash. You cannot even liquidate that cash, and you will have to again remold it, pour it again. You'll have to see you that leads to a lot of confusion. So you should always focus on this one. So if you focus on the quality, the rejection percentage will come, and that is also the low yield, meaning so you get a lesser sales and lesser profits, and the low yield will not be that. So the meaning of this, the what do you call the information about this data is you should track at each every level. This you need to. The message from this is you need to track the data at every level to avoid high rejection and to manage the low yield, and also preventing hidden losses. No, hidden losses could be damage, a break of this mold, or machine breakdown, and all these things you need to manage it using a tool like Excel, because it's an Excel based system. So you need to use it Excel. Now, what Excel can do, it can track, analyze, alert, and improve, right? So now you can see with the data, if you can compare it. So see, let's say I have a data of last 5 years. Now I can see, okay, this product and this production or usage of this furnace or usage of this mold is improvised. Now, what should I do? Should I need to make this on, should I need to work on maintenance? Should I need to, instead of doing maintenance once in a month because the mold is being used heavily, should I need to use it? Should I need to maintain it, do the maintenance of the same in once in twice in a month? So you can, those data, whatever you are capturing it, right? So that will help you to take a decision, right? So what you need to do, that's very important, right? So you can use any Excel function. You can use sum, you can use count, you can do anything. But whatever you do, right, that will eventually should help you to take a decision. So there are tools available in Excel like Power Query, Power Pivot, and you have an Office scripts, you have VBA, and latest introduction is Python. Python is a heavy analytical tool where it can help you to bring a beautiful data analytic reporting system, right? So, but only thing is you need to have more data and it has to be structured to understand this data, and you can do it. Now, KPI example, right? So, how do you rejection percentage, right? How do you calculate the rejection percentage? Now, this is equally proportionate to your QC mechanism. So, how many QCs? What are the QC parameters? So how many? No, you have your own example. So rejection percentage is always equivalent to your key metric. So this is sample KPI. I'm doing it. So KPI also can be tracked using Excel template. So you can define your own KPIs, and based on the data, you don't need to enter it manually. I have seen in a couple of industries. So when I ask why are you not using KPI, though you have it in the document, they say, sir, getting the data, updating there is itself is a cumbersome process. It is taking huge time. I'm not able to do it. So believe me, the capability of Excel system is you can do an automation so that whenever a report is generated, let's say rejection percentage, QC parameters, QC values, and in this lot, this much of items are produced. From this lot, this much of rejection percentage has happened, and these can be tracked with the your production dispatch report and goods return report. So these two reports from your system, you capture it, with which we can build the KPI examples, and you can do it, right? So before and after using Excel, it's only manual and the guess data, right? After automating it, it's an exact accurate data. Even if there is a wrong input to your system, Excel will gives you a perfect data and you can do it. And of course, the the pivot tables are there, Power Pivot is there, and you have Power Query. Whatever you do it for 2 hours, it can even reduce to 10 seconds, 5 seconds and all, provided we have our data and you can do it. And most importantly, every organization is look for a dashboard, right? So especially the management of business owners, they want to see the data in a single page, right? So they don't want to see, many business owners, they don't see the report and they call for a meeting with each and every department head. The very reason is because they don't get the single consolidated dashboard view. They get the report separately. One person will send daily production report, another person will send daily purchase report, or another person will say daily dispatch report. And all these things, even the challenge is he could not visualize and see how my data is there, how it is moving, overall how it is doing. So that's where this dashboard can help you to do it, right? So how do I start? Don't worry, start with a small tracking mechanism, track daily, and there is a scope for improvement always. You can start improvising your data and take it to the next level. So always you don't see, okay, I need to have a full-fledged system. It doesn't happen at all, right? Start with this small portion and go, you start tracking it. Probably you get to know, okay, for this tracking I need to add few more detail, add some kind of information like this, and slowly improvise it, and you get to know this system and do it. So that's why all systems are being improvised. Now Excel, when I started, it was Excel 4, right? 1992 93, and it was Excel 95, then Excel 97, 2000, 2003, 2007, 10, 13, 17, 19, then 2021, 2024, and 365 versions are there. So which means that system also needs an improvement. When that system needs an improvement, even our reporting system needs a beautiful improvement, so that the systems can be effectively, efficiently used. So this is very, very essential to understand the system, because by and large, I work with huge data sets. I work as a consultant for many companies, and I help them in setting up the base data itself for the reporting system, right? So my specialty area of expertise is make them to understand the data, and we can do it. Clear? If you are clear, please type C in the chat box. I get to know that, okay, you are clearly understood the importance of, how to you understand this Excel and you can use it. Go ahead. If you are clear, please type C in the chat box. So you can use the chat box. If you are connected, please go ahead. Thank you, Vasant sir. And it's only Vasant sir typed. Please go ahead. I'm not asking you to answer. Mr. Subramanian, thank you so much. Let's take a few minutes to get a confirmation from everyone, because this training is this program is an awareness program to understand the power of this Excel system. Because many of us are using Excel, but we are using as a mere electronic typewriter. But the capability of Excel is humongous, right? So believe me, I have done one activity for a manufacturing company where they take 15 the inputs, they consolidate reports from 15 different sources, right? 3 Excel, 2 CSV, one own Excel, one text file, everything, right? And also they have a data in the percentage, right? So they used to take 10 days to generate that report. Now, after doing a proper analysis, setting up the proper structure, data structure, type, everything, now the same report is running in 15 seconds time. Imagine, where is this 10 days and where is this 15 seconds? You save 10 precious human days, man days you have saved. that person's productivity can be used anywhere else. So this we have to use the system effectively and efficiently. Clear? Done? Okay. I assume this. I'm happy at least 5 people have understood what I mean by all this, because understanding the foundation basics are very important to use any system, right? Even in your own industry, I'm sure you're all stalwarts, you're all experts, because you've understood the basic foundation, the requirement, the structure and all. Otherwise, you cannot be a champion in your own industry. So it is always better. Now, let's open up the Excel file and see how there are a few things how I can do it, right? There is always a challenge for us. What is the challenge? Now, see, there are few methods of maintaining our data, right? So how do I maintain my data? It is always a challenging for us when we capture this data, right? So you can see that's a sample data I've captured. So this is not a real-time data. Now we can see I captured the date, the heat number, which furnace it was used, what is the production it is done, what is the percentage, and what is the reason for rejection. Okay, and what, how much is the good casting in terms of, it could be kilos, or it could be it should mostly it should be kilos, right? So what is the rejection and what is okay. Now if you can see, I have written a small if condition to understand if the rejection percentage is more than 5%, right? So it's not 5%, 0.0, correct, 5%, right? Now I need to get an indication that, okay, there is something wrong in that production itself, right? So that heat itself, there is a problem. Because if you would have, if the sand is an issue, that would have been reflected in all the products you manufactured in that heat number. So you will have to check and you need to do it. So it could be anything. The reason could be anything and it could be anything. So the data has to be properly structured, right? Excel works perfectly and the reporting is very easy if your data is in a tabular format, right? This is called your tabular formatted data, right? So you might ask, okay, what are the other formats of data can be maintained? What is the data? Now, see here. I'm just going to give you an example. So I'll say item and month, target versus actuals. Let's say it could be March 26, right? It could be April 26, right? So I'll say, I'll tell this item A, item B, right? So item C, I'll just do this, item C, so on and so forth. The target is 1,500, 1,700. I'm just typing a random numbers. So it is 2,000 actually, then 1,500, it is 1,900, right? So 2,000, 2,200 and 2,400. So in this case, it's going to be 2,000, 2,100 and 2,450, right? So this is my data. And if you can see, in most of the cases, wherever I go, especially for helping them to clean up their data, I could see they maintain the data only this format, right? When you have the data in this format, no matter whatever you capture, okay, it's not going to work because this is not a tabular format, right? So to understand which one is a tabular format and which one is not a tabular format, okay, the simplest way, your tabular format will have a single line of heading, right? It doesn't have the nested headers. No, this is a nested headers. No, sometimes we do like this. Sometimes we'll merge, right? Now, if I have to refer for 1,000 heading for 1,500, this target, then March. Now, let's say 1,500. If this 1,500, then it is actuals, then it is March 6, 26, which means this value has two headers, right? So if you maintain this data in this way, this is called nested header table, right? So the problem with this is, so how many of you familiar with this pivot tables? How many of you are using pivot tables in your work? Type yes, or probably you can unmute and say, you don't need to type it in the chat box. If you can say unmute, yes, I'm using pivot table. Thank you, Vasan sir. Now, here comes the actual problem. You cannot create a pivot table with this type of data. Agree? You cannot create a pivot table with this data because pivot table data needs a tabular format, and tabular format is nothing but should have a single line of header, right? That's where the data discipline starts. Okay, I need to have my data in a structured discipline way. So if that is the case, how do I transform this data into a tabular format? So as I showed you in the 4 stages of data, first I can do it manually, right? So I'll say item, right? I'll say type, I'll say month, or probably because I'm using the year, month, I'll say value, right? So item A, then type is target, month is March 26, the value is 1500. Same way, and it is actuals, March and 2000. Now, this is called a tabular data. With this, we can create a pivot tables easily. Pivot tables is an advanced analytical tool available in Excel, which we can do it. Now, as I told you, I can do this manually. I can do this manually, right? But there is also advanced tool in Excel called Power Query, which can helps me to transform this data the way I want. So, which means I can work with this easily and I can transform, even if I maintain this data this way, I can bring the data to this so that I can create a pivot table with us. So, which this is very essential when you want to generate a report from the system, right? The capturing of data is very important, and the way you are capturing data is also very, very important. Now, especially when you're going to type the values in each row, the same type of values of few choices, like in the reason, if you can see, I've typed sand issue, temperature issue, handling, blah, blah, blah. I'm typing the same thing. In the status, it is okay, not okay, problem, production stop, something like that. And I will capture this reason. So to have a standardized report, capture a uniform reason or uniform values so that that can make your report to the next level. So the meaning is the data discipline is very, very, very important before we understand. So understanding, that's what you have seen in the solve it. Yes, the study. So you need to understand the requirement, and at the same time, you need to also understand the data. Is it okay? Is it there as per my requirement, right? So is it enough for me to generate a report, or should I need to capture the data from the external system, or should I need to calculate it? Now, these things probably this could have been done. So if you're using an ERP system, you get this, where how much is the good casting output and what is the rejection percentage, blah blah blah, everything you would have got it. Now, what if you don't get it? You are using a very old system, or even to capture this, you are using a Excel only. Now, these columns, these calculations can be added so that Excel can do a better job for you and take it forward, right? So now there are few metrics with which you can do it. So how do you calculate this production, right? So production is what now I can do of a given date I can do. So there are a few metrics which I can help you out to do. So I just created this with my basic knowledge. Now probably you can guide me if there is a better one. Now this is the production metrics I use it. So total production is equal to sum of production. Now if you want to find out heat wise production, probably I'll use the heat number, which heat, that is heat number column where I capture all the heat and the criteria, which means for which heat and what is the production quantity. This helps me to find out how many heats I'm running, I've completed in a day, and what is the production quantity I got it every day. In addendum to it, in addition, you can see what is the rejection percentage, blah, 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 this one. Now, probably this the production metrics, this production metrics, the output of production metrics is this only, right? You can see I would have captured the same thing. So instead I specify heat criteria production, I've added all these columns, you can do it. So remember again, this also can be automated. So Excel has a beautiful tool with which we can automate it and bring it done, right? And of course, now if you want to calculate this rejection matrix. Again, I can do the rejection matrix, right? These are the things which I have done it for the Foundry where I worked as a consultant, right? So rejection percent, how do you calculate rejection divided by production? You can do it. On all these things, we can do it. I still see many people doesn't know that this can be done with the Excel. Still, I see these people are using calculators to do this. So remember, Excel is not meant for that. So Excel, it is a full-fledged self-sufficient system which can produce all these reports and all these files for you. So you don't need to do it. So every metrics you can define. Okay, this is how I want, right? Not necessarily that this should be fixed. No, you can change it at your convenience and you can do it, right? So we can do it. So same way, if I need to do a yield calculation, probably I can follow this formula, right? Yield percent. These are all the simple formulas where we do it at the sheet level, right? Here I can do this. Now here you can see this. I have done what is the production minus rejection. I got this casting, and I also found out what is the percentage. Now percentage you can see this 50 divided by 1000, right? So which means I know what is the rejection percentage, and I can bring that. So now understand, you don't need to write these formulas also, right? With the introduction of AIs, right? So this Copilot or the Claude or this Chat GPT, you can send this data to that and you can tell what you want, right? It is going to give you with the formula itself. But understand, you need to ask what you want. That's very important. By loading this data into Copilot, it doesn't work. By the way, Copilot is an AI tool of Microsoft, right? Claude is the third-party AI tool which is there outside and you can buy it. Copilot is part of your MS Office 365 subscription, right? Claude is an external tool. I think it is around $16 per month for, and $25, $50 for business usage, right? So this is an yield calculation. I can do it. So what else calculation now? Furnace efficiency, right? So this is also very important when you calculate. So this is how I do it. The output divided by how many metals have tons of metals. Output tons divided by input metal tons. No, I'm just giving. I'm sure you must be aware about all this calculation. It is not that I'm giving it to you. You don't know. You need to know. No, but these calculations can be automated in the Excel with the simple formulas, or you can use the tool like Power Query. If you import the data, lot of data like which has 10,000 lines, 20,000 lines, capturing all these informations, I can use an automated mechanism with which I can automate and I can bring this report effectively, efficiently, and you can do it. Now, what is the cost per calculation and what is this? There are a lot of cost calculations we can do it. Now, for example, this is my cost calculation, right? So what is a cost calculation? I'm doing it, right? So now I work with one of the scrap dealer, right? So his minimum, he procure minimum of 25 tons only, not less than that. And he supplies to the lot of the foundries, which helps them for them to recycle it and produce the material they want. So then he uses this method, right? What is the scrap cost or what is the cost per casting? I use it. So all these things, calculations, which you can use it Excel effectively and efficiently. The reason I'm putting all these things is, and couple of people may not know I can do all these things, right? So still they depend on the manual work or do the manual calculations, everything. Remember, I have shared this not for manual calculation, and all this can be automatically, right? And you can do it. Now, last but not least, now we can do a trend analysis. Now you have a trend analysis when you go here, 1 minute. When you select this data and you can see here, the what if analysis. Now it has three different scenarios. One is the scenario manager, right? So I don't have data to show you now, right? So scenario manager is nothing but, so you can see the scenarios at three levels. Let's say I want to know what is the output of a furnace if the output is this much and the input metal is this much. Now, what if I give 100 tons? What if I give 500 tons? And if the input is this one, the output is that one. And what is if I give 1010? So this will help you to do a scenario, and you can create a scenario. You can do it. Probably I can send the scenario through Mr. Sailesh. I'll create some sample scenarios for Foundry, and I can share it through Mr. Silesh so that he can circulate among you all people. Or Chennai chapter chairperson, the convener, I will Sindhil sir, if I'm correct, his name is Sindhil sir. So I will share the data with him. Probably he can share it with the people. And the goal seek. The purpose of goal seek is, now if my current rejection is this much, now if I need to reduce the rejection to this much, what should I do? Right? So you will have different parameters to calculate rejections, right? So if my rejection is 8% based on my XYZ parameters, now what should I do? Which parameter I need to adjust, right, to get this a reduction of 5%? So it's going to work beautifully and you can do it. Now, of course, this will help you to give a forecast. Again, it needs an historical data. You can see here, it says, 1 minute, I'm not sure if you can see this. I will share the entire screen. Right, so forecast is there. I can use this forecast. When I select this forecast, I can see line chart or the bar chart, which can help me to do it. Of course, there is enough data needs to be there to use this the forecast data, which can be done. Again, for learning everything, minimum it needs 2 to 3 hours of understanding how the system works and how we can do it. So small trendings can be done at the same level, and we can do it and take it forward, right? So those things can be done effectively, efficiently. Now let me quickly show you how to do this trending, right? So I just select this, go here. No, this is not a month. 1st April 26, right? So I have done it, and I copy and drag this function, make this, I fill the month, right? So I have month-wise data, right? I'm adding a month also here. So probably I'll say month. See here how it works. So I can go and type text. Right? This is a function which I'm doing it, comma, and I'll say m. Right? When I do it, I get which are the months. Now I can find out this product, let's say the F1 furnace, right? How many productions has been done and what is the trend that I can do it. Now I'm going to do that and I'm going to show you this. See here. So it is going to be transpose, right? And unique of, anyways, I don't need the unique function, transpose, right, of this data, right? So transpose of this data, I got it done. Now I'll say unique of this one furnace, right? So I got this data. It is only 2 furnace, and the furnace, the production, this is for different month. I'm just using it some example, or probably we can use this the same month, right? So I can use this April, right? So I would have used this 1 minute. I'll say unique of this one. These are all 365 functions which helps me to do this work. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm preparing this sum range. So this is my production, right? Comma. I'm not taking Excel class. So probably you may understand, you may not understand. That's fine. So this one, comma. Then I want to find out the month, this one, comma, and I put this hash. When I do it, you can see this is my production of the furnace and every month. Now you can see I haven't written any calculations and all, and this is very simple for me, and I can get it done easily. Now this function can, now I have written 1, 2, 3 functions. Now if you learn this Excel very well, easy. Now there is a function called pivot by, right? Pivot by, I can use this. This is my data, comma, and column field is this one, comma, my value field is this one, comma, and I want to use the sum. Now you can see I get this data perfectly the way I want, including the data. So in the furnace F1, I produced 2,850 tons. Now F2, this one, in the month of April, I produced. Now I could see this multi-level reporting so that the system can be, this can be efficiently, effectively used. Now I can also create a trending chart here, right? So I'm just making this data slightly bigger. I go here, insert. So 1 minute, there is a line chart here. Now you can see line, click this line. I'll say this is my data range, right? And my location range is what? Choose where you want this. I'll just select these two. Now, when I click OK, you can see here, I got how is my sales trend there, right? When I change this, if I change this data and I'm going to get this, now I can say low point, high point. Now you can see this data will help me to get a report on the, see, these are the tools which we can use it in Excel, which can help you to take a data. Now I go and change something. So F1 April is 1000 plus 1900. So I make this as 3000. Now immediately you can see this chart is going to change. You can see here. This is changed. You can see. Now I will add something else here. So July, it is F1, right? So I'll make this one F1. You can see automatically July F1. This is heat number. Okay, July. Then you can see the sale is changed. It becomes 950. F1 is, you can see, where is this 1100? Oh, this is furnace F2. It is going. Now I go and change this to F1. You can see here the trend is changing. Now trend is there, and many people think, oh no, I need to insert a chart and do it. No, this trend lines can help you to do it. So when you select, this is called spark lines. Okay, I go here, I can change this as a column, right? I can change this as a win or loss. No, now in this case, wherever is this one, I can see my data, whichever is higher and lower. I can show this data in such a way. By seeing this, I can understand how my trend is. So that's the power of Excel, where you can use this effectively and efficiently, right? So now the data has to be structured. This is the sample data where if your data is something like this, and this is the perfect data for generating your own reports. Now you can do whatever you want. Now with a Copilot, you can generate whatever reports you want with this data. Only thing is the data has to be properly structured. It has to be a tabular data for you to produce some meaningful results. Clear? So any questions, please go ahead. Any questions, please go ahead. Sir, Sileshar இருக்கீங்களா?
Yes, sir. I'm here, please.
Right. So anything else, sir? Please go ahead and ask. I will happy to help. So how to effectively use this Excel? This is the basics things which you need to do. No questions. Oh wow. Thank you, Dhaval sir. Thank you so much. You don't have questions because generally in the school time or a college time, generally we don't ask questions in two ways. One, if you understood fully. The second part is if you don't understand. Okay. So when you say no questions, I assume, I hope, no assumption, I hope that you have understood it very well. Right? Sileshar, please go ahead, and anything else. And I'm happy to help clarify any doubts now, because Excel is a subject as an ocean by itself. So we need a lot of time to understand how it works. Right? So there are basic things, the dynamic array with the dynamic array functionalities and all. And this is the function what I've showed you, right? So I will show you this function. This is the function what I showed you. It's a dynamic array function which has the ability of spelling this answer. Now you can see here, whenever you add something, this report will get updated automatically. When I say F3, right? You can see here, this is automatically updated with the F3, and I got the total also. You can see the total is also included. So completely it is a dynamic array functionality which is introduced in 365, especially when you're for your type of data. Excel is a very apt application with which you can do your analysis effectively and efficiently. Done? All right, sir. Sir, I'm done with my the whatever I want to deliver. Please go ahead
Sir,
and ask. Yes, sir.
Yeah, audience, actually, if you have any questions, please.
Shubham sir, I can help you out, sir. I'm a professional, business reporting systems and dashboard specialist. If you want, I can help you out you can take my number from Mr. Sailesh and we can connect and do it, sir.
Thank you, sir. If no more questions, actually, I'll move forward with the vote of thanks. First and foremost, actually, I extend our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Venkatraman Subramanian, for sharing his valuable knowledge and practical insights, actually, on Excel. Your session has truly empowered, actually, us to better utilization of data for effective decision making in our day-to-day Foundry operations. I also thank all the participants, actually, who joined us today, in spite of that Foundry work and so on, so to enrich the knowledge. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you. If there is any doubt, please go ahead and ask, not related to this one. And probably you have any general doubt in Excel also. We have 5 minutes more, I guess. So please go ahead and answer question and I can help you out. Should there be any doubt in your Excel? Anything in Excel, you can ask me. If I know, definitely I'm going to answer. Shubham sir, if you say how to handle sales over Excel, meaning you have a sales data and what is, see, that's what I explained in the beginning. I think you didn't attend because of some emergency. Now, what do you want? Right? So 400 plus customers and all is very less. Okay. In fact, I dealt with more than 800,000 customers. Okay. So, okay, what we can do, Shubham sir, the solution, what we can do, if you are using a 365, you can ask all your salesperson to update in the Google Sheets, right? And Excel has a capability of fetching the data from the Google Sheets without downloading it or without importing it, right? Just a click of a button, it can fetch the data from Google Sheets, update your Excel, and whatever you want to do, you can go ahead and do that. That is possible with Excel, right? So in fact, I have set up for a couple of retail people where there are 18 branches. So from the 18 branches, they updated Google Sheets. Sir, this is very easy. They maintain different. That's what I told you. That's what you are talking about the problem. I'm talking about the solution, right? So the solution is there already. So we can connect. If you are using 365 version of Excel, then the solution is easy. We can connect all the Google Sheets into Excel, and you don't need to ask them to send it a daily mail or download someone. At a click of a button, your Excel will talk with the Google Sheet, bring the data, update this data, and subsequently whatever dashboards you want to create, please go ahead and create. That is possible. Then that's a simple solution which you can do it. Perfect solution. How to connect to you and moderators. So you need to touch base with Mr. Sailesh, and you can take my contact number on the email ID. You can reach out to me as per your association's policy, right? If whatever is the policy, you please follow and let me know. I can connect. I have, if you need a SAP to, right? So if you need SAP to Excel integrated, yes, sir, I have done it. So you give me, see, all I need, I want your data either in CSV format, Excel format, or HTML, JSON, XML, PDF, any format is okay, right? So I don't mind in any format you give it. If you are clear with how do you want to visualize and what output you want, you can count me in for me to do this report for you. So it's pretty easy, right? I can help you out, Vasant sir. That's not it. And I've done for a couple of SAP integration. So they download the data, put it in the designated folder. My Excel go and fetches the data and gives the report whatever they want. So that is also possible, yes. But the Excel system, though, it has a capability of integrating with this. This can be done, sir. Easily, this can be done. It's not a big deal. It's very simple and we can do it. So, but the only challenge for us is connecting with SAP database. The SAP company will not allow because that may tamper the database. That's why I said if you can get me as an Excel file, right, or a CSV file. Now, whatever you have shared in the chat, we can create this one and we can do it. So this is clear. So we can easily do it. In fact, I was explaining about how to maintain a data, to bring this data and do it. So all these are calculations of your Excel file, the data, and accordingly we can bring it and take it forward. So we can No, you don't need. You don't need SAP. No, any system where it has the ability of giving the output as CSV or Excel file. Don't worry. I can help you out to set up such functions in Excel, and we can take it forward. That can be done. All right. If there is no more questions, we'll sign off. Or should there be any questions, please go ahead. Stylish, sir?
Yes, sir. We'll close.
We'll close, sir.
Yes, sir.
So my sincere
We'll
thanks
close, sir.
to this association for giving me an opportunity of creating an awareness of how effectively Excel can be used to gain the data to take a decision. So I'm happy to connect with you all again to explain more about the system with the actual data of yours so that it will be more connected and connective to you and take it forward. So with this, thank you so much. Once again, my sincere thanks and gratitude. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye-bye. Take care.